15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets.
Juan Soto is joining the New York Mets.
Oh, my God.
From the Yankees to the Mets.
God, let's go.
15-year, $765 million contract.
Juan Soto is he's a New York Met.
$765 million.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
Come on, let's get it on.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And whenever you are tuning into this video, my name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Before I say anything else, Brian, happy early birthday to you. Tomorrow's your birthday, so I wanted to give you that little shout out. To everybody that's watching this, man, social media, whether it's through the podcast, through its YouTube, make sure you guys give Brian some love. Shout him out. Happy birthday. Show him some love, man. So his birthday's tomorrow, and I'm sure you're excited, man, with Saturday night's main event coming up this weekend, which we will talk about for this Sunday, as we have a big episode reviewing that show, Saturday night's main event. So make sure you stay tuned for it, along with a special guest. All of that is in the works, so stay tuned for all of that to come. Also, if you guys have not checked out, I also made a video on our social media talking NXT Deadline, since NXT Deadline was this past weekend. If you guys have not checked out that episode, make sure, or that video, I should say, make sure you guys check it out now. I talk all about NXT Deadline, the entire card. So if you guys want to check it out, it is on all of our social media platforms right now. Speaking of social media, if you guys want to follow us on social media, check us out on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Again, want to thank everybody for all the love and support throughout this entire year. And of course, thank you guys, as we are on the verge to another tremendous year coming into 2025. Now, with all that being said, man, let us dive into this show. Now, Brian, I know this is a wrestling podcast, and there is a lot of professional wrestling to get into, but I had to come on here after what transpired just a couple days ago. The New York Mets won the Juan Soto sweepstakes. The New York Mets are officially the kings, not just of New York, not just in baseball, but in professional sports. Because if you guys have been living under a rock over the last couple of days, the New York Mets have just signed Juan Soto, a guy that is pretty much a generational talent, a guy that is in the prime of his career, and arguably top three best hitters.
Seen the prime of his career yet? He's just about to enter. What's he? 26. 26
years old is where he's at right now, as he just signed the biggest contract in not just in baseball but in all of professional sports for 15 years. Which right, for $765 million. And there's, I'm sure, a lot of mixed emotions. If you're a New York Mets fan like myself, you're on cloud nine, because this is a guy that is a game changer, a guy that is, once again, a tremendous overall player, all-around player, and the New York Mets are no doubt a better team now than they were just a couple of days ago. And I want to say this, and Brian, I'm sure if you got some thoughts in regards to this, as again, we'll get into Monday Night Raw. There's a bunch of pro wrestling that we will get into. But man, this all goes back to what Steve Cohen, right, in his beautiful, sexy money, right, has always talked about. And he mentioned this in the NLDS when they were celebrating going on to the National League Championship Series. And this is not just about signing a really good player. This is not just about, Yankees and Mets, big brother, little brother type of scenario. Right? Mm-hmm. This is about the narrative of the New York Mets for decades now. For decades has been this negativity, these shortcomings and heartbreak. All of that, Brian, is slowly starting to change. And it started with this signing, because let's face it, and I want to be clear about this. Was this about money? You're damn right. It's about money for Juan Soto. And props to him. He wanted his contract, he wanted his money, and he freaking got it. As much as this was about money, as much as this was about Juan Soto getting everything that he wanted on the table, I highly doubt, Brian, if this was any other team, because the New York Yankees offered a very similar offer, $3 million less to Juan Soto. I believe it was $760 some odd million, just $3 million less. I find it hard to believe, Brian, if this was any other team, if this was Seattle, if this was Boston, if this was frickin' Baltimore, if this was Toronto, I find it hard to believe that Juan Soto would have accepted this offer from any other place if it wasn't New York, if it wasn't the New York Mets. Let's face it as well. None of this matters unless the New York Mets actually start winning, right? It's now going to be time to put your money where your mouth is for this upcoming season. But I find it hard to believe that this could not have been about just money. For the longest time, this is where Juan Soto wanted to be. He wanted to be a New York Met. Was it about the money? Absolutely. But it was also wanting to be a New York Met. And let's face it too, because again, now that you bring in this guy, you have people like Francisco Lindor, you have all of this talent, and now the New York Mets become this major marquee franchise to where a lot of free agents are going to look over in Queens and Flushing, and they'll be like, damn, I want to go play over there. And that's why, Brian, this signing is so huge, to where the narrative has slowly, by the day, by the week, is drastically changing, man. And that is because of Steve Cohen and just everything, the landscape, everything from this one decision has drastically changed, man. And I'm excited personally as a fan. The New York Mets, like I said, they are a 10 times better team now than they were a couple of days ago. But none of it matters, man. None of it matters, though, because now they got to win. Now all of the eyeballs are going to be on them. But now, as a New York Mets fan, now you can see the narrative change, the atmosphere change, and it's just the beginning, bro. So, Brian, what are your thoughts, man? Juan Soto, this contract, joining the Mets. What are your thoughts, man, before we get into Raw?
Well, first, I mean, let me say, just I don't know if like a congratulations, but happy for you, man, as a New York Met, as you being a New York Met fan. And yeah, look, I mean, baseball is my first love. So, I mean, yeah, I got a lot of thoughts about this. And, again, I hate because, yeah, I understand. I mean, it's the same sort of tribalism it is in wrestling, right? But I never view sports or whatever that way, particularly for me. Like, I mean, sure, yeah, I want fucking Juan Soto and the Yankees. I mean, like you said, this guy, especially at 26 years old, he's a generational player. He's hands down Hall of Famer. And now he's there for the next 15 years if he wants to be. And when it's all said and done, he's going to go in as a Hall of Famer, as a New York Met, So, all of that is like, yes, this is a business, man. And, Juan Soto is, but, people can have, different kinds of seasons and whatever, and there's different metrics you want to measure by. And from my standpoint, the best, pure combination of power and plate discipline in baseball, that's Juan Soto. And it's kind of far and away Juan Soto. I mean, yeah, Judge has got the power and he's, improved his plate discipline as well. But Juan Soto is that guy is Tony Gwynn plus fucking, I don't know, a great power hitter. Maybe not that of Judge, but that's who Juan Soto is. So kudos to the Mets. Yeah, Steve Cohen. I mean, he's essentially maybe not as bombastic as George Steinbrenner, but I mean, he's essentially George Steinbrenner. Like, he's got the money. He's going to try to put the best team on the field, and money be damned. So it's always funny to me, like, and it's always in athletes, whether it's basketball or football or baseball or whatever it is. When you see, yes, $765 million, $700 million for Shohei Ohtani, that's outrageous fucking money. Yeah, it is. But we live in a capitalist society, people. Why? Why the hell are you going to hate this player capitalizing on their God-given talent and hard work to get to this point? And if this is what the market says they're worth, then that's what the fuck they're worth, man. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I ain't mad at him for getting that bag. I ain't mad at him for, fucking going from the Yankees to the Mets. And as a baseball fan, I mean, I'll even say it, to this, because I don't know from the Mets standpoint, have they already, I know Alonso is a free agent or whatever, but at this point, they've kind of moved, they're not signing Alonso back, right?
I don't know. Alonso being signed back with New York with the Mets is still a possibility as of right now. It's still a possibility. In regards to it.
Even with Soto in that lineup, I'm just being an objective baseball fan. Without a guy like Judge or, in front of him or behind him, he'll still have great years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I would expect it to be a little more like maybe the San Diego Padres years, maybe a little higher average, something like that. But unless the Mets have somebody there, to really protect him in that lineup, again, he's still going to have a Hall of Fame career, all this thing. He's going to have amazing years. But yeah, things, you can see it from his last years in Washington to his, a couple years in San Diego. He's still a great hitter. He's still going to hit 30, 40 homers, hit 280 to 300, 100 walks, all that stuff. So, yeah, man. And from the Yankees standpoint, look, if you couldn't sign Judge back, I'm even not that excited about the Max Fried deal personally for the Yankees. I mean, yes, they're, again, if everybody stays healthy on paper, that's a pretty good rotation. But my opinion is always you got to build that farm system, man. You got to get younger, and Yankees are old in a lot of places, man. So even Max Fried, I mean maybe they might get 2-3 pretty good, even really good years, but the back end of that contract, they're going to eat that shit, man. That's going to be the last 3-4 years of that contract.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, all around, I mean, shout out to Soto, shout out to the Mets. Yeah, man, there's a new I don't know, new guy in town, man.
New king in town, baby, and his name is Steve Cohen. Steve frickin' Cohen, man. And listen, once again, guys, if you are a Yankee fan out there, or just a baseball fan out there in general, because just like AEW, a lot of fans, what they like to do is just shit on the New York Mets because they're the New York Mets, and all they do is lose. All they do is give fans heartbreak, and whatever the case, whatever the narrative is. But I'm telling you guys, man, that narrative changed this past Sunday on Sunday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because whether you guys want to say that it was the money, and yes, it was the money. There's no doubt it's about the money. Sure. But the reality, guys, is that if you're telling me that Juan Soto's decision to choose the New York Mets over the New York Yankees because it was $3 million more, I think you're full of shit, man. The reality is that Juan Soto chose the orange and blue over the pinstripes. He chose Francisco Lindor over Aaron Judge. He chose Flushing, Queens over the Bronx. And that's, for some Yankee fans, are just hard times to deal with, because that's just the God honest truth.
Let me say this about Yankee, because I'm well aware of Yankee fandom, kind of like Red Sox fandom and Cowboy fandom, and I get it. And oh god, it irks the shit out of me, man. But yeah, Yankee fans, shut the fuck up. Yeah, he didn't want to sign with New York. It's the Yankees are always going to be, in our lifetime, in fucking the next 3 lifetimes, they are always going to be the historical franchise in baseball because they have all the World Series. And that was 100 years ago. And they haven't won one since now 2009. I'm closing in on 20 years, almost 2 decades. So this whole yes, okay, celebrate the history of the Yankees, but Jesus Christ, Yankee fandom, just fucking accept reality. Jesus, times change, things move on. George Steinbrenner's long gone. His sons are not the same as him. You got Cohen in New York, who's got more money than fucking anybody on the planet, damn near. So yeah, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and think about it too, right? Because I already see Yankee fans too. They're they want to claim
oh sure,
he's not worth the money. It's they want to show low lights of this is the guy that you paid $765 million. Guys, let me tell y'all something. This was the missing piece that brought you a World Series appearance last year for the first time since 2009. Think about that. 2009. This is the same guy that hit that miraculous 3-run home run in Cleveland, Ohio, in the ALCS to send you guys to the World Series. And we all know what happened in the World Series in regards to the LA Dodgers and what happened. And honestly, not most of us are shocked because, the LA Dodgers, they're the LA Dodgers. For some fucking weird reason, they're saving up all this money and they're still signing all of these other people as well. People like Blake Snell. They have, the Shohei Ohtanis, the Mookie Betts, and the Freddie Freemans. The fact that this narrative of Yankee fans are saying oh, we don't need Juan Soto. Juan Soto's overpaid anyway. He's not worth this amount of money. If he's not worth, being worth that type amount of money, okay, sure, that's debatable. And trust me, the luxury tax in baseball is trust me, it's ridiculous. The amount of money in regards to baseball and it is pretty ridiculous. I will acknowledge that in that aspect, man. But what the Yankee fans don't realize is that now you had your plan A, which is we got Juan Soto. We're going to re-sign him. He wants to be a Yankee. But now you see that he wanted to be on the other side of New York. And now y'all have to go to a plan B. And that plan B, it seems was Max Fried. You sign him to a mega freaking contract at 8 years?
Overpaid
200.
Overpaid the shit, for him, if we're being honest. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. He's a tremendous southpaw, tremendous left-handed arm. But the dude is well over in his, I want to say he's 31,
well, I think
32
he is
years
30.
old.
I think he's 30. So
30 years
by
old,
the time
30?
end of the contract, 38.
He'll be at 37, 38. Yeah, okay. So either way, that's your plan B. And I think that's what Yankee fans are trying to come down to reality, is that you had your guy outside of Aaron Judge, the guy outside of Giancarlo Stanton, the guy that was going to uplift the New York Yankees to finally get over that pedestal, which was back to the World Series, back to a World Series championship. And now you no longer have that. And now you want to clown the Mets for signing this dude. Give me a fucking break, man.
No, for real.
Stop, man.
This is directly towards Yankee fans, man. Stop with the bullshit. Listen, I was around, when I became a Yankee fan, Don Mattingly, right? 80s Yankees were not that good. They had some okay years. They, didn't make the playoffs. Famously, Don Mattingly didn't make the playoffs till his final year. So, it's, or maybe that might be wrong, but anyway, they were not that good. Now you come to the 90s Yankees, right? And I'm sorry we're getting off on a baseball tangent, but whatever, man. It's Thursday. Hopefully I'm not keeping you, but anyway, so you get to the 90s Yankees, right? The core of that team, right? Pettit, Rivera, Jeter, Posada, the core of that, they were homegrown talents. These were not your big marquee superstar free agents. And then they went out and got guys like Paul O'Neill, Scott Brocious. Oh, I forgot Bernie Williams. Bernie Williams in there, homegrown talent.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went out and got guys like Paul O'Neill, Scott Brocious, whatever. Good players, not Hall of Famers, but solid baseball players. That's when they won the titles. When they started, signing A-Rod and Roger Clemens and Randy Johnson, all past their prime, right? Like they won one. And they overpaid for all those guys. So to hear Yankee fans now, like, oh, they overpaid for Juan Soto. Look, Juan Soto is 26 years old. Still, we have not seen the best of Juan Soto.
No.
As good as he is, we still haven't seen. Wait till he's 30. Wait till he's 30.
Yeah. And they've given up a lot of pitching for him, man. They've given up a lot of pitching, a lot of pieces in that San Diego Padres trade. So
if you're a real Yankee fan, like I can understand, like, yes, you lose Juan Soto, like, yeah, that's gonna fucking suck next year. It sure the fuck is. But if you're a fan of baseball and sports, why are you hating on this man for going to get his money? Why are you hating on the fact that, okay, now the Yankees didn't pay him $765 million? You can build your farm system. You can invest that in multiple pieces. You got Giancarlo Stanton on your roster, DJ LeMahieu on your roster, fucking Alex Verdugo. I mean, bro, Rizzo, Anthony Rizzo. Like, dude, they're fucking old as shit. So, yeah, man. Suck it up, Yankee fans. It's like, dude, come on.
As far as the Mets go, man, I mean, listen, there's still a whole lot more work to do. Obviously, Pete Alonso would be the next step to try to get him signed.
That's going to be really important. If they can sign him back and have him like hit behind Soto, yeah. Man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously pitching. I mean, and let's face it too, everybody needs pitching nowadays in regards to Major League Baseball. But I would love for them to sign Sean Manaea back. Sean Manaea had a really good season last year with New York. Yeah. And I would love to have a really good left-handed pitcher in that rotation. They signed Frankie Montas. I don't know about that. But
he's got potential. He's always been injured. Like, I mean, he's always
back of the rotation type of guy. That I'm sure maybe he can catch some lightning in a bottle. Maybe you got Clay Holmes too. It seems like he's not going to be a reliever. He's going to be progressed as a starter.
That baffles me, man. I mean, because I thought that was a great pickup for the Mets as well.
Yeah.
Use him at we'll see how that goes, but. Because you guys still got what's his name, right? Who's your closer?
Edwin Diaz.
Diaz. Yeah, if you used Holmes as the 8th inning setup guy, dude, man.
So it seems like the plan is to have him as a starter, and I guess if he doesn't produce as a starter, well, okay, guess what? You can just throw him in the bullpen and you can just have him as that middle reliever. So I guess it's no harm, no foul type of scenario. But we'll see. I think he's more effective as a reliever. I still need to see. I need to see it, believe it, if he's going to produce as a starter. But I guess it's the risk is worth the reward, I guess. So we'll see in regards to it. But there's still a whole lot more for the New York Mets to improve this roster.
That's two Yankees there. That's two Yankees that went over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So look, man, if you're a New York Mets fan, dude, like, listen, regardless of how this season ends up, enjoy this, man, because not only are the New York Mets going to be in competition next year, but for the following year and the year after that, the year after that, and the year after that. And that's why, Brian, this signing is so massive. It's not just about one player. It's not just about a guy who is arguably one of the best hitters in baseball, but it's all about, to what Steve Cohen said just last year, it is changing the narrative of this franchise, a franchise that has been in poverty, a franchise of fans that has been starving for relevancy and has been starving for a franchise, for a team that can compete with the LA Dodgers, can compete with people in town like the New York Yankees. They're starving for that. And that narrative changed just this past Sunday night. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this is such a big deal. And that's why this will go down as one of the biggest moments probably in New York Mets history, whether good or bad, depending on if Soto produces and regardless of what happens. But this, December 8th on Sunday night is, I'm sure, a lot of New York Mets fans are not going to forget. And enjoy it. Enjoy it while it is this
absolutely.
offseason. This was an early Christmas present to many of us Met fans. They won the Juan Soto sweepstakes. I know he's got his press conference, his press release coming up today, I think at 3 o'clock at Citi Field. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun to see him in the orange and blue. So look, man, Steve Cohen, he whipped out the wallet and he freaking got it done, right? It's one thing to put an offer on the table. It's one thing to go after somebody, but to actually get it done, to get the deed done, that is what is truly surpassing Steve Cohen over a lot of these other, not just, again, owners in baseball, but in professional sports. And he did it. He freaking did it. He got it done. And now it's time to execute. Now it's time to put your money where your mouth is and go freaking win. And that's it, bro. So shout out to all my New York Mets fans, Top Bunk Sports, Bald Bro, Brett Vargas, everybody, man. Enjoy this. And it's what a time to be alive, bro. I just love it. I'm on cloud nine. I'm going to continue to be on cloud nine. I'm going to be on cloud nine when I see Juan Soto in a New York Mets hat and a jersey in this press conference. So
I tell you what, man. Next year, you and I got to get up when the Mets play the Yankees, man. We got at least, especially that first game, man, because
the first series in May. I think May 16th through the 18th is when the Mets play the Yankees in the Bronx in that first Subway series.
All right, yeah.
So that's what was released also too, not too long ago. So, but yeah, man, Juan Soto is a Met. The largest contract, not just in baseball, but in professional sports. Is it going to be the best thing that's ever happened to this franchise? Or is it going to be one of those contracts to where it becomes an utter disaster? Who knows? But this is a player, this is an investment that you had to go after, and they executed, man. And that's the most important thing. And the narrative is slowly changing with this franchise and with the football teams in this fucking town in New York. And you got the Knicks, who I'm sure you'll hear from me in regard to the Knicks because they look promising right now, and I'm happy with what's going on over there. Now the team to be a part of, it's not the New York Yankees. It still is to a degree, but now it's with Steve Cohen, it's with the New York Mets. And yeah, man, it's looking good, bro. It's looking good. So, all right. So half hour later, and now let's get into some Monday Night Raw. Let's get into some pro wrestling. So again, once again, if you guys want to hear my thoughts about NXT Deadline, that is on our social medias right now. And we will save some AEW talk for the cold open when we talk about Saturday night's main event. We will be recording that episode as of Sunday night, so I'm sure some of you guys will see that the following day. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that and stay notified. But let's talk about good old Monday Night Raw. I guess you could say this was the go-home show for Saturday night's main event. So we're going to start things from the top, and that was the opening segment of Monday Night Raw, which was with Gunther. So Gunther's out there in jeans because he wants to be relatable to the crowd. It's honestly no coincidence, right? He first came out in a suit and a tie and his dress pants, and now he's in a sweater and he's in some jeans, freaking
just a regular
changing.
dude.
Just a nice regular. I'm just like all of you, right? I'm just like you, that person in the crowd, right? Being relatable to the audience as they're trying any way, shape, or form to turn this dude heel or to turn him face and to have some type of connection with this audience. So he's out there cutting a face promo talking about Finn Balor. It's like, now Finn Balor, after what happened last week, he's got my undivided attention. Finn Balor, Judgment Day come out, and Finn Balor talks about the reason why you've only held on to that world title is because of me. That's the only reason why you're still champion right now is because of me. And then, Gunther's like, oh, what happened at Survivor Series is not going to happen at Saturday night's main event. And Finn Balor's like, yeah, you're right. It's not going to happen because I'm the reason why you still have that title. And I'm going to be the reason why you lose that title this coming weekend. And then Gunther says some more words. He talks about Finn Balor taking shortcuts and all that stuff. Again, kind of weird because Gunther has also been doing that exact same thing. But I'm going to play along, Brian. I'm going to play along this new face Gunther role.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So he continues to go on to say that. He did say one decent line in this promo, and he told Finn Balor, and he said, you were the best in the world for one night when you were Universal Champion and you lost that championship, of course, from the injury. So yeah, you were the best in the world, but for one night. And then he legit just ends the promo saying, you're not on my level and you never will be. Damian Priest comes out and then a brawl ensues. Wow, Brian, I haven't seen a brawl since this past Friday. So they brawl. And yeah, so Gunther gets taken out at ringside near the commentator's desk, and then they go back into the ring. Finn Balor and Judgment Day take out Damian Priest. They also hit, Damian Priest also gets leveled with not one, not two, but 3 coup de grace as well. There were also chants, Brian. There were also one more time chants after Damian Priest got hit with a 3rd coup de grace, just also leaving it out there as well. But the segment ends with Finn Balor hoisting up both the world title and one half of his tag titles. And Finn Balor is standing tall backstage. Adam Pearce confirmed that it's not just going to be Finn Balor versus Gunther for the world title, but it's Finn Balor versus Gunther versus Damian Priest in a triple threat match at Saturday night's main event. Listen, can I say this, Brian, in regards to just this segment itself? I literally, Brian, have this in my notes. What a stupid start. That's my notes in my phone. What a stupid start, bro. Because I'll be honest with you, dude, the writing makes no sense in regards to Gunther cutting this promo, talking about shortcuts and all of this stuff that he just did not too long ago. You can see he's trying to like gaze the crowd if the crowd is being engaged. He's like doing that as he's cutting this promo. Like and the final line was, you're not on my level and you never will be. Finn Balor was at that level 10 years ago, bro. And if his booking was proper, he would have lapped you 10 times, dude. Like, what the fuck? So that's just weird.
Yeah.
And then it ends with the same brawl segment that we see every week. Damian Priest comes out because we got to continue Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. And, you know, the same type of attack from last week. Now, Damian Priest is a part of it with the 3 coup de grace. And by the way, Gunther was also getting whatted in his promo segment too. It's one thing for the what chant, right? And I talk about the what chant all the time. You know, it's one thing as a heel, right? To get the what chant. You can counteract that and engage with the crowd to actually make it meaningful. But if you're getting whatted as a face, bro, the fact that people are just chanting what for the sake of what because they don't give a damn about you being a baby face and cutting this promo, that says a lot. And I already mentioned last week about, you know, the crowd. The plan was for the crowd to feel a certain type of way towards Gunther, to get behind Gunther. And all they did, guys, was cheer Finn Balor. They cheered Dominic Mysterio more than they did with Gunther. And guys, that's a serious botch. And that's a serious fucking issue with this world title situation. And this triple threat match, right, that's now confirmed, it's a straight up audible because they had no choice. There's no definitive face in this matchup because Gunther is, yes, you're trying to turn him face, but he's not a definitive face. Have Finn Balor.
Say Priest is technically the
right.
face.
That's why they did this decision, because you need some type of a face in this matchup. And they had no choice. This was an audible call because you completely flopped last week's segment. And this was a complete, I don't want to say last second decision, but this was a clear audible decision to put Damian Priest in this match. And guys, once again, I said it last week and I'm going to say it now. Like, I don't care. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about Gunther as a face. There's no connection. I've already given you 2 examples of why and how people don't give a shit. And you're trying to resurrect Finn Balor and Damian Priest. They broke up months ago. Nobody cares. It's old news. I've already seen Gunther and Damian Priest in matches in 2 of your marquee pay-per-views at SummerSlam and now Survivor Series. And now I got to see them again inserted with Finn Balor. I'm sorry, no. I don't give 2 ounces of a shit, man. And again, the writing in this, and I'm going to go throughout this whole show on how bad this writing is. Again, it's bad enough that Triple H is approving it, but whoever's writing this shit is really fucking is out there. But I'm going to get into that more. But Brian, your thoughts, man, of this start of the show in regards to Gunther, Priest, and Finn Balor.
Yeah, man. With all 3 of these guys, I feel like they've just just muddled and fucked it up so much that. I mean, this is just me, looking in hindsight. And of course, I mean, what the fuck do I know? But I mean, just from what I see, it looks kind of apparent that, they wanted to try to turn Gunther face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to get the title onto Finn, if I'm being honest. But now you're in a position where they're cheering Finn against Gunther. They're cheering Finn against Priest, who is the biggest face of any of the three in the match. So you're right. Well, whatever, I don't know what's going to happen on that match, really, because and this is why I say, fuck. I really thought Finn was going to win, and maybe he still does. But now, if he wins, I mean, you almost got to turn him or the Judgment Day face. And everything you've done up with Rhea, with Priest, like all that shit kind of goes out the fucking window at that point.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with Gunther, I don't know why they were turning him face. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see because now at this point, like, even if he does retain here and you've now already introduced this face turn, his title reign can't last much longer in this thing. It's something. So I don't know, man. I think Priest is probably coming out the champion here. Or Finn, but again, I don't know how you would do that and keep them healed, the Judgment Day and him, and still make the Priest thing make sense. The Rhea Ripley shit makes sense. So that's why I say I don't know. They really stepped in it with this one, man. I don't think
WWE knows either, honestly, because they just inserted Damian Priest. Because, like I mentioned, this was an audible that was called because they're trying to turn Gunther face. They know it's not working, which is why, guys, it's no coincidence, guys. If you guys really think that this was the plan all along to put Damian Priest in this match, guys, you're full of shit. Stop. This was an audible call because they miraculously failed a Gunther face turn, right? And it's funny you mentioned Finn Balor, right? Clearly, like, again, Finn Balor is supposed to be the diabolical heel. He's also slightly, I guess, turning on his, Judgment Day members. He's talking down to people like Dominic Mysterio and all these other people, not getting the job done. Like when he was hitting the Dom, isn't it? I mean, mainly Dominic,
and Dom and Liv, and
mainly like his thought process. Oh, when it's Finn Balor's way, or when it's Finn Balor's plan, everybody wins, right? So clearly, like there's a leader, and it's Finn Balor, when he claimed that there was no leaders at all. So clearly there's already friction within this. So that's also another botch in regards to it. The fact that he's been honest from the fans' reaction and how fans are reacting. Finn Balor is more of a face than Gunther and Damian Priest combined. And that's, guys, is what is so just bad about this, man. Again, there's opinions, there's our personal preferences, guys. But guys, this is just reality. Like, this is not working. It's not working. And who knows, Brian, what goes down at Saturday night's main event, because I don't think this company knows right now. I truly don't. It's just, it makes, and for Gunther, man, I don't know how you took something that was so good, that was working, right? The segments with Bret Hart and with Goldberg, right? Trashing them and whatever, like talking down and talking shit to people. How do you just fuck that up? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, bro. Like, that's the old saying, right? It doesn't make sense, man. And now you're trying to finish off, or you're trying to have some legs to stand on with Finn and Damian Priest. Guys, nobody cares, man. Nobody gives a shit about this at all, because you fucked it from last week, and you fucked it with the storyline months ago with Finn Balor and Damian, bro. And now you're turning Gunther as a face when the time is for him to still be a diabolical heel. The timing, the execution is completely botched. And that's just the reality.
That's it. The timing and the execution. That's it. Because like when you said, like, I mean, Yeah, I mean, Gunther could maybe eventually work as a face, but right now and how it's been done and this quickly, not working.
Absolutely.
And when Finn has been the heel, but the fans are cheering him when he's kicking Priest and Gunther's ass, your two faces. Yeah, it's fucked, man. It's fucked.
Absolutely. Moving on to our next topic here. The Wyatt Sicks and Final Testament. Brian, the last couple weeks, man, and kudos to Karrion Kross and The Miz because they've been a miraculous part of this entire situation to where the last several weeks, man, have been solid. The backstage stuff with Nikki Cross and Scarlett, some of these vignettes, I'm like, damn, okay, this is starting to get really good. You know, let's maybe continue this to Royal Rumble. What if I told you, if you guys are watching this podcast but didn't watch the show, what if I told you that they just did the match this past Monday? What if I also told you that Uncle Howdy was pinned this past Monday? And what if I told you on top of that not only Uncle Howdy was pinned, but he lost by a returning Paul Ellering? Shout out to him. It's good to see him. But what if I told you that he lost due to Paul Ellering throwing baby powder in his face? The guy that is supernatural, the guy that can teleport and shit, along with this fucking group, and he lost looking like a geek getting baby powder, some type of substance. Maybe it's some Tony Khan stash. I don't fucking know. But it's some type of powder getting thrown in his face. And Cross hits his final prayer finisher. And guys, Uncle Howdy gets pinned in a 8-man tag match in the middle of Monday Night Raw. Why?
I know.
I don't understand. Listen, guys, I understand because people come after me in regards to this type of scenario. James, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Sure, absolutely, but you got to do it correctly. This is a group, the Wyatt Sicks, that is supernatural, right? That is smoke and mirrors. And you have Uncle Howdy, the leader of this group, lose through to baby powder or some type of powder, whatever the fuck you want to call it, powder being thrown into his face. What? Like, bro, that's like, you know, for people who know the movie It, right? The movie It, Pennywise the clown. All you got to do to defeat Pennywise is just insult him, and he just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That's all you got to do. So that's Uncle Howdy's kryptonite, Brian. If you want to defeat Uncle Howdy, supernatural Uncle Howdy that can teleport and shit, all you got to just throw some powder in his face, and he's fucking done. He's done, and he gets fucking pinned. And listen, I also don't want to leave this out because Karrion Kross is the one that picked up the pinfall, and I will never, ever will see or witness Karrion Kross pinning somebody or getting a W, seeing it as a negative, ever. But, man, you could have stretched this out to Royal Rumble. You could have continued to tell this story. But Triple H and executive suits and ties thought that this was a good idea to say, you know what? The crowd's sold, man. Let's just throw it on Raw. Triple H, do you mean like the main event? Just put it on Raw. like the smack middle of Raw? Yeah, just put it on Raw. I didn't say the beginning of the show, the end of the show. Just put it on Raw. Come on, man. This is, listen, guys, there's ways for people to lose, and then there's just decisions to make people like Uncle Howdy look like a fucking idiot. And that's what he looked like this past Monday, right? The same group that took out bodies backstage in gorilla position. Right. And now all you got to do to defeat that, Brian, is just throw some fucking powder. It's just, I can't, man. I really can't. Brian, what are your thoughts in regards to this, man? Final Testament and Wyatt Sicks.
I almost take this personal, as much as ridiculous as it sounds. Like, and so while I'm wearing this shirt, right? And I don't mean, because at the end of the day, I don't know, you know, the creative, you know, Bo Dallas is involved, obviously, and obviously he wants to do, or I would imagine, and is trying to do, you know, right, and he loves wrestling in his own right. You know, this isn't necessarily all just about Bray. He's a wrestler too, you know. but I just look at it as like, man, what are they doing with the Wyatt Six, man? Like, you're right. Let me shout out to Karrion Kross and The Miz. They're fucking nailing it, and I love it. Absolutely. We just had fucking War Game Survivor Series. They had plenty of time to build this feud, even with the Miz turn and all of that. They had time to do that and have a fucking War Games match. Or like just a pay-per-view, you know, whatever. Not just fucking in the middle of Raw, man. Come the fuck on. And like you said, man, I mean, just like the way, I mean, the Wyatt Six, I mean, they have not looked strong or intimidating or anything really in months, in my opinion. Like, I mean, the last, and I could be wrong, I'm sure they picked up a W here or there, but it feels like the last 3-4 times we've seen them wrestle, they've been taking the L. And what is up with Nikki Cross? Like, is she injured? Like, why have we not seen her wrestle? What's you know, I don't understand. I mean, she's playing her role right, you know, the creepiness, whatever, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But is she not wrestling? Like,
or unless again, and that's the thing, like, because now people are like, oh, well, James, like, the story's going to continue. Well, guys, that's the problem. Like, what do I need to see now? Do I need to see the Wyatt Six? They need to get a W back over the Final Testament, and we're going to do some type of trilogy. Like, come on, man. Like, we're just going to see matches, Brian. We're just going to see matches over the next couple of weeks, and that's how we're going to tell this story. And I guess the only thing left to see is just everybody thrown in there, including Scarlett and Nikki Cross, to where you make it a mixed person tag, like mixed tag.
That would have worked so fucking well at War Games.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I mean, bro.
Yeah. No doubt. And I guess that's the only thing left that's neat to see is like, oh, let's do the same type of match, and now let's just throw Scarlett and let's throw Nikki Cross in there. That's all you're truly doing. Yeah. Like, and it's just guys, there's nothing else that I need to see between these two now anymore, because you've thrown all of these people in this match for several minutes, and now you're going to do it again and maybe have them split 1-1 and then maybe do another matchup with some type of stipulation. Guys, like, stop, man. There's nothing else that nobody, or especially myself, needs to see from this at all. Right? It's just like, well, yeah, James, the story's going to continue. Well, clearly, I'm sure it's going to, because I'm sure it's not going to end with Uncle Howdy just getting powder thrown into his face, clearly. But what's the payoff? They're just gonna get a W back over Final Testament. So now you're just gonna 50-50 book people. Like that's your booking. Like, come on, man. I see right through this fucking company, man. They need a psychologist.
Really shout out to Cross and Miz, man, because they're killing it.
Much love to Cross, man. I will never take that as a negative with Cross getting a W. Now, if this was vice versa, if it was Uncle Howdy getting the victory over Cross, I would pretty much still be saying the exact same thing, man. It's just the timing of these matches and these decisions are just so off, and it's killing the momentum.
How it's ending,
and how it's ending, exactly.
Again, you have a four or 8-man tag or whatever. Like, you don't have Uncle Howdy take the pinfall there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. And then, bro, they just cut to a CM Punk interview. They don't even let it like breathe. They don't even let do anything. Yeah. They just cut straight to a backstage interview. Like, are you fucking serious, bro? Like, and that's what sucks, because, bro, I love them using Bray Wyatt's entrance. Every time I just hear that entrance, I'm just like, damn, I miss Bray Wyatt. I miss Bray Wyatt so much, man. I really wish, man, like, I would see him walking down that aisle holding that lantern along with Uncle Howdy and such, man. I would love to just fucking see that, man. That would have, you know, but I guess, you know, it's unfortunate, but even still, there were so many ways to where you still could have made this work. And I'll be honest with you, Brian, ever since their debut, their booking has, you can say it's been botched. It's been
Right. I
heavily
mean, that
botched.
after once they got past that initial Alpha Academy stuff,
Yeah,
since
they
then, it's
rushed,
been
bro.
like, what the
they
fuck?
they rushed that Otis and Chad Gable story that was actually going really well, but you
Yep.
needed something for Wyatt Sicks to kind of fill the void because you didn't want them just standing around, just killing their momentum. You had to put them on the show, so you rushed a feud with Chad Gable and American Made. But you rushed the ending, the climactic payoff with Otis and Chad Gable. You rushed that feud. You did the shove. And there was no payoff after that. Otis is in the same spot to where he was before the feud. And Chad Gable, he signed this extension, this 5-year contract extension, and the guy is doing nothing. The same goes with Otis. They're both in the same predicament that they were before the feud and after the feud.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to rush Chad Gable with the 6, and now Chad Gable has nothing, Otis has nothing, and now you put the Wyatt Sicks in Testament.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just it's everything. And and listen, with Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt, obviously, you can tell with Bray had a clear vision, and Triple H, as well as Vince McMahon years ago, that they allowed this dude to gain massive amount of creative control and his direction, to where with Bo Taylor Rotunda, it's like, okay, there might be some pitched ideas, but it seems like it's Triple H and creative that are kind of at the helm with this whole situation. And it's kind of just the waters are being muddied and the lines are just being blurred.
Yeah.
And that's just what sucks, man. I wanted this group to, I'm not going to say that they're buried or they're ruined, but
no,
their credibility since they started, bro, it's gone backwards, not forward. It's gone completely downhill. And it sucks, man. And guys, I don't need to see, I don't need to see this continue. I don't need to see them all being thrown into another match again. Now you're going to add Scarlett and Nikki Cross. Okay, cool. There's nothing else, guys, that we need to see. There's nothing that needs to be seen from both of these teams just for you to do the 50-50 card. Oh, now the 6 are going to get a win over the Final Testament. Stop, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Liv Morgan defeated Dakota Kai in a match. She had Pure Fusion Collective. They tried to put a beat down on Dakota Kai, and then Damage Control just sends them packing up the fucking rampway. It's a bunch of schmozzery, and I think Liv Morgan attacked Io Sky even afterwards when Pure Fusion Collective was taken out and up the rampway. So Liv Morgan was standing tall at the end of the day. Again, this whole Damage Control shit, it's got to fucking end, bro. Just let Io Sky be Io Sky. Let Dakota be Dakota. This group as a whole, they're not benefiting being in this group together. They're just not because there's just no creative long-term agenda for this group. That's clearly the case. So just keep them separate. That includes Kairi Sane, bro. Seriously. That's my short take on that. But yeah, CM Punk cut a sit-down interview with Jackie Redmond talking about Paul Heyman in this offer. Says like, listen, that's between me and Paul. That's not going to be discussed. He ends up talking about Seth Rollins, talking about how Seth Rollins went to Punk to get trained in regards when he was 16 years old. Now it's time for the starters to come back in, right? Now I had my absence, right? My 10-year absence. Now it's time for the starter to come back in, right? Now it's time for the backup, Seth Rollins, to go and sit on the bench. So this was like about a 60-second some on interview. So I was like, okay, as long as this is pursuing, or as long as this is continuing momentum with Punk and Rollins, I would be okay with it. But then we get to Seth Rollins' promo, who's doing his best impression of Sully from Monsters Inc. with his fucking blue arms. Or you can honestly make the assumption that it's Cookie Monster from Sesame Street. I don't know what the fuck this dude is wearing. I'm more distracted by his fucking gorilla arms, his Sully arms, than he is cutting this promo. It's just like, bro, what are we doing, bro? Like, Seth, get rid of these clothes. Wear some normal fucking clothes. I can't take you seriously when you're wearing this shit, right? As a heel, it makes sense because you're obnoxiously loud, right? With the crowd and with a certain fan base because, oh, look at me, look at my gorilla freaking Sully arms. Right. But you're a face, bro. At least for now, you're a face. It's just like, get out of your wife's closet and wear some normal fucking clothes, because my God, is that distracting with you cutting this promo. All I see, Brian, is his blue fucking fur arms. Like, oh my God, man. Shout out to Sully from Monsters, Inc. Love that movie, by the way. So Seth Rollins is out there, and he pretty much kind of just confirms everything what Punk said in his interview. Like, yeah, I went to CM Punk to get trained. There was once upon a time where I looked up to CM Punk until I realized he was a massive fraud and a hypocrite, and I wanted to be better than CM Punk. And he goes on about that, and then Sami Zayn comes out, and Sami Zayn, and this is, Brian, this is, again, the writing in this is so fucking weird. Just hear me out. Sami Zayn's out there. He comes out and he says, listen, Punk, I don't like what's going on with you and Punk. It's not bringing the best out of you. It's hurting you. It's hurting people in the locker room. And he goes on for this for like 5 minutes. He's like, I don't like this situation. I can't stand it. It's making me feel a certain type of way. Right. And then after 5 minutes of this, Sami Zayn just says, like, you know what? But if this is what you want to do, I'm just going to stay out of it. What? And then Seth Rollins is like, oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Sami. That's what I want you to do. Thanks. Appreciate that. And then Sami Zayn needs more, like, he needs like some comforting. He's like, hey, like, are we still good though? Are we still friends? Like this is some bad toxic relationship from junior high. Like, the writing in this was so fucking weird. Right. It's like Sami Zayn is this weird third wheel with this whole Punk and Rollins situation, and Rollins is just like, the look on his face, he's like, okay, yeah, Sami, we're good. We're fine. Yeah. And then that whole spiel ends. And then Sami Zayn says some words about Drew McIntyre after the attack. And he calls out for him for a match for Saturday night's main event. And then Drew McIntyre ends up attacking Sami Zayn. And then this led to like backstage guerrillas. Adam Pearce was involved, like kicking Drew McIntyre out of the building or whatever. And that's it. Brian, again, all in my notes I just have is just, what did I just watch? That's legit in my notes in my phone. What did I just watch? I watched a segment that accomplished nothing. Legit, bro. Legit nothing. Oh, you confirmed a Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre match. That's what you confirmed. So we're getting there just by Drew McIntyre attacking Sami. Okay, he attacked Sami Zayn last week, and he just attacked Sami Zayn this week. Oh, okay. And once again, Brian, the main issue that I have is that you're continuing, this situation is continuing to overshadow and blur the lines with Seth and Rollins. I don't understand it. Punk and Rollins. Thank you. With Punk and Rollins, you're continuing to blur the lines with that, and it makes no sense. And I understand, guys, what they're trying to do. You're trying to revisit it. You're trying to maybe come back to it. You want the focus to maybe be on Sami and Drew for now, and then maybe when you get to Netflix and WrestleMania season, that's when it gets kicked into high gear. But guys, man, if this keeps up, it's not going to have the same steam leading into WrestleMania. And guys, here's the most befuddling thing that I came across. The plan, and again, this is a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, but I came across this from Sky Sports Wrestling or whatever. The plan is for the first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix is for CM Punk to have a match with Seth Rollins. I'm guessing in the main event. What? Why? Guys, I swear to God, if you rush this match to Monday Night Raw, to throw this on Monday Night Raw, because you're on a streaming service, and Travis Scott's going to be there, and all these people are going to be there. There's this buzz. There's already this buzz. There's already anticipation. Why do you need to rush Punk and Rollins in this match? This is a legit Mania match that's sitting in your lap. What, you're going to do a trilogy? Why does every now feud now with just a trilogy now? So The same shit we did with Punk and Drew is now what we're going to do with Punk and Rollins. Stop, man. Right. Guys, if we botch this, I swear to God, man, you can't possibly fuck this up. A feud that is sitting in your lap, and you're muddying the waters already. And on the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix, you're going to have the match? Stop, bro. Come on. You can't do that, dude. Why not have that first impression? Why not save that for WrestleMania? Why not save that for an actual PLE? Oh, well, James, but there's going to be a lot of eyeballs. It's the first Monday Night Raw to Netflix. True. But again, there's already buzz. You're going to have most likely
Not
Roman
more
Reigns.
eyeballs than WrestleMania.
No, that's for one damn sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you're already going to have Cena. You're going to have Roman Reigns. You could potentially have The Rock. All three of those people will most likely be on that show. Why do you need Punk and Rollins in a matchup? To what? Just to get cheap pop and some streaming hours because it's the first show? Guys, stop, man. You cannot do that. You cannot rush this match to the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix. You save this first matchup, this WrestleMania type of matchup, you save it for WrestleMania. I don't give a shit if it's on frickin' Hulu. I don't give a shit if it's on YouTube. I don't give a shit if it's from my frickin' backyard. I don't give a shit where Monday Night Raw is. You are not throwing Punk and Rollins in a match on a weekly episode of Raw. That can't happen. That just cannot happen. And I know I've been going off the rails, Brian. To finish this off, the writing is weird. This is the worst writing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some bad writing, or I've heard some bad writing. This takes the cake. You have Sami Zayn go out there for 5 minutes, tell Rollins why he doesn't like this situation with Punk, but I'll just let you do what you want anyway. Bro, what are your thoughts, man? Unless you have a different perspective, but Brian, what are your takes about that?
Let me start. But yeah, if it's the first episode of Raw, that's it can't happen there.
No.
But I mentioned it last episode with this. That's where I don't know where this is going because and even Rollins mentioned it in his promo. About not Punk not main eventing Mania. So that's the promise with Heyman. I mean, that's what it is. It's the Mania main event.
Right.
And Rollins and Punk is a WrestleMania main event. But how you're going to tie these two in together, I don't know. But what you have here, and I really believe this, like if they do this right and get it right, like you have Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, with the real life animosity.
No doubt.
And even in their promos that they did, well, you can see Punk had this perspective and he did what he did, and Rollins, felt the way about it, and both things are true, and both men have a gripe, and it's reality.
Right.
So that's why it is so good. And when I say, the Shawn and Bret thing, I mean, obviously it's going to be in a controlled environment. This isn't, Vince and Shawn, cutting a backstage deal and, whatever. So it's going to be scripted and whatever.
Right.
But when you use that real life emotion, man, that's what makes it so good. So
absolutely.
I'd like the initial promos. This could be really good. If it's the first Raw, I feel that's pretty rushed.
Yeah.
Man. And then the Sami thing, you're right. It's not needed.
No.
But then also, as far as like the planting seeds or whatever, I mentioned last week about there's going to be a time where I think Seth and Drew and KO team up. Sami may be a little further down the road. He might be a part of that too. Yeah, he might have a place there too. So, I don't know. Was it needed last night? No. But we'll see what that goes. But the Seth and Punk thing, man, God, that's fucking gold, man. Like it is.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I like the fact that, Punk and Rollins, they cut these, he cut the backstage interview was Punk, and then Rollins was speaking on was speaking on CM Punk. I'm like, okay, great. And then all of it changed, bro, when Sami Zayn came out. And he said for 5 minutes, said one thing, and then he says like, oh, yeah, you just do what you want then. If that's what, then why the fuck are you out there, bro? Because he needs to make sure that him and Rollins are good. Are we still good, buddy? Are we still good? Can we shake hands? Like, are we still friends? What? It's just, it doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, it was like, again, it could still be good. I'm not saying like, oh, it's done, it's that. But if this keeps up, man, if you're inserting Sami Zayn like this and you're muddying the waters, even with Drew McIntyre too, and who knows with, McIntyre, KO, Rollins, and that whole type of tandem, because they all have one common foe, and that's to everybody who is aligned themselves with Roman Reigns, right? That all honestly ties back into it. And yeah, it could be good, but at the same time, you can't lower or you can't diminish that momentum with Punk and Rollins, because you're right. That real life animosity that they had. But if you keep this up, that animosity, that type of heat, that type of spark is going to slowly go down. And I really feel like, because the fact that Sami Zayn, for some odd reason, is inserted into this, and much love to Sami Zayn, but there was no need for that. For him to just go out there and say, I'm concerned about you, Rollins. I'm concerned about this situation with you and Punk. But if that's what you want to do, I'm just going to stay out of it. It was, what did that accomplish? It was and going
I feel like
well.
With Rollins too, like Rollins, you got to pick one or the other. Either do the Punk thing right.
Yes.
And keep them and whatever away from the bloodline shit.
Yes.
Or go ahead and keep him involved with the bloodline shit, but don't do him and Punk right now.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Because again, you don't want to blur the lines with either one of those situations. Because a tandem like that could be good, and we already know Punk and Rollins and what they can do, and that animosity and the feud they can do. So again, man, the last thing you want is a spark to just be diminished and momentum to just be diminished. And I feel like, because we're trying to, again, it's kind of, and again, I don't want to make this comparison, but you almost see this like in sometimes with AEW, to where they're trying to connect dots, like everything is being meshed together in one piece, and everything's kind of just, the lines are just being blurred, and it makes no sense. I would have just been fine if you wanted to just do the Punk interview and then Rollins just cuts a promo on Punk and just leave it. I would have it's simplistic. It's nothing over the top, but I would have been fine with that, as long as there's a plan and you do it correctly moving forward. But then you have Sami and then Drew, just to get to a Drew and Sami matchup for Saturday night's main event. Like, come on, man. A match that I've already seen before. Come on, bro. It's just like, we got to do better than that, man. We just got to do better. But moving on, again, more stuff on the ladies real quick. Zelina Vega, she continues to get no love. She lost a tournament matchup for this mid-card title, this IC title. Lyra Valkyria won in a triple threat match. Zelina Vega, I don't know what the issue is to just not give Zelina Vega any type of opportunity, right? It's just like, again, man, we go back to, people, again, James, have to win or lose. But again, guys, there's no character development. There's no long-term investment with even the ladies at all. Like, all they'll do with Zelina Vega, they'll just throw her a bone. It's like, freaking Backlash is going to be in Puerto Rico. Hey, Zelina Vega, do you want a match? Because you're from Puerto Rico, right? That's what the fuck they do. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep you with LWO and Rey Mysterio because we have nothing for you. We're not even going to make you advance out of the first round for this mid-card championship. Come on, man. Like, and listen, much love to Valkyria, right? And again, her finisher, the Nightwing, it's not really devastating because it just looks like an awkward finisher to me. I think she has potential. I think she's good, but Zelina Vega's been ready, bro. She's been ready, just like I talk about with people like Naomi and even Chelsea Green. Hopefully Chelsea Green if Chelsea Green doesn't win that mid-card title on SmackDown, it's a massive botch. I can't say it anywhere else. It's a massive botch. So that's on one end. But then we get into the New Day. Now, the New Day, this was honestly, is what was the best thing out of this show for me, was, again, the New Day. So they are in a backstage, like a 60-second, like, interview discussion with Jackie Redmond again. And they talk about their issues with Big E. I think the New Day came across Cody Rhodes backstage, and Cody Rhodes was like, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves or whatever. And the New Day's like, listen, we're going to address ourselves in that ring in front of everybody. And they end up taking the camera. He's like, give me the Xavier Woods, like giving the cameras. I don't give a damn if you're friends with John Cena. Give me the freaking camera. So Xavier Woods grabs the camera as they walk out onto the stage they're getting booed, bro. Again, I have to like listen back if there were maybe some boos that were piped in or not. But man, they were getting booed out of the fucking building, dude. Like they wouldn't let these people talk. They were getting the Dominic Mysterio treatment. Let's just say that. They were trying to explain themselves like, hey, we didn't do anything. It's not our fault. We could have taken out Big E. We could have put a steel chair to Big E's back, but they just kept getting booed as they kept getting talked over on. And then New Day was just like, fuck it. What are we doing? They just tossed the microphones and they walk off, and the crowd was like, yeah, they're out of the ring. They give like a miraculous cheer. That was the highlight for me, Brian. Just as simple as that was just the heat that was given to the New Day, or whatever I guess they're going to be called in the near future. But I guess it's kind of the takeaway, Brian, is that we said it last week, to where if you're not inserting Big E one way or the other, you can do that, doing with some backstage stuff with him at his desk job. Or again, I've talked about like you could do some vignettes at Big E's house with his girlfriend, because his girlfriend was taking some shots at Xavier Woods and Kofi after what happened last week. So you can, if she wants to, right, you could do some creative stuff with that. But man, I will say, man, this was the heat that these two were given. And again, I'll have to check if it wasn't piped in. I'll have to check if these were actual authentic loud boos. But this was, again, for a segment that was a couple minutes. This was simplistic. It accomplished what needed to be like, listen, it accomplished from last week, right? The heat that they got last week, and it turned into, or it carried on into this week. And who knows what the plan is for moving forward with the New Day. But I like the heat. I like how it is somewhat kind of authentic in a way because of what happened with Big E last week. So, but who knows what the plan is, Brian? Who knows? It's kind of day by day. But what are your thoughts, man, about the New Day and the heat that they got from this past Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was. I mean, it was. Sounded real to me. I mean, yeah, I get it. But I mean, right. It's. I mean, I said my piece about it last week. I really don't care to see them in a heel run. And I mean, yeah, they garnered the heat that you need to get in a situation like that. So they did their job. Kudos to them. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just don't care, man. I mean, and they came out there and they really, because of the crowd, really didn't say much of anything. So. But really, like going back to the IC women's title thing, man. Yeah, that I was looking at the bracket, man, and I was just thinking too, like Valkyria's winning that. Just looking at the bracket, I was like, possibly, there's another bracket that has Zoe Stark and Raquel Rodriguez. Maybe one of those two could win, but. I think it's Valkyria. It's going to be Valkyria, and I'm just like, I mean, she's been on a push here, and I get it. They're trying to push her, but I mean, right now, like she's to me, and I don't know, I could be the outlier here, but she's not really connecting in anything. As far as like, so I don't know, man. Putting the IC title on her, okay. Yeah, and this I think she's winning that tournament. Yeah. Yeah. So. I actually agree with that. Yeah. Again, it's just, this is the problem, Brian, with pro wrestling. I'll try to make this short. This is the problem with pro wrestling, right? It's just like, we think that a big push here, we're going to give you this push. So that push includes a title being thrown around your waist. Yeah, right. Like, what are we doing? Like the guys, that's not how it works. You push them to eventually get to a title match or a title opportunity or a title run. That's how it works. But nowadays, the push is to show everybody you got the shiny title. Now you got to give a shit about them, right? It's like giving Damian Priest a contract,
right? And giving him a world title around his waist. And now like, oh, it's Damian Priest. He's got this shiny world title. Now you got to connect with him. Now clearly,
backwards, man.
And it's fucking backwards. It's so backwards, bro.
Yep.
It's so backwards, man. And speaking of the ladies, we'll finish this off, man. So this was a matchup between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. This was an anything goes match. Rhea Ripley won this match. Of course, Liv Morgan was involved, but to no avail, as Rhea Ripley hits a riptide to Raquel through a table and takes out Raquel, gets the pinfall victory 1-2-3 and wins this match. Io Sky was also involved in this, and the final camera shot with the hard cam was both Rhea and Io holding on to the women's championship and kind of giving like a face off with the championship at the hard cam. And that's how Monday Night Raw goes off the air. So I'll keep it as simple as this. This wasn't bad at all. I'll actually take this, Brian, over everything that was in this show, the baffling shit that was in this show. Should this have ended the show? No, absolutely not. This is not a segment or a match that should have ended the show at all. The ladies did their thing, Raquel and Rhea, much props to them. But yeah, it ain't no way you're going to have this end the night. This is a segment to where, honestly, you would put in the middle of Monday Night Raw, honestly. If you were to put anything in the middle of Raw, or maybe to start the second hour, right, if you want to give them that spotlight, you put that there. You don't, because I guess it's your world champion, it's your women's world champion, I guess you had no choice to, like, it's got to be in that slot. So yeah, with Io Sky, listen, even though it's not going to happen, I would love if they were to just say, fuck it, just call an audible and just have Io Sky win the title. But we know that's not the case. Rhea's going to most likely, when it's all said and done, be the woman to take that world title from Liv Morgan. And again, it seems like, because, Io Sky's taking on Liv at Saturday night's main event. So they're going to obviously stretch that out probably till WrestleMania. And that's where Rhea's going to get her climactic moment, her big victory. And again, I have no faith that Rhea Ripley's title reign is going to be any better than her first title reign, guys. I'm sorry. And as I get into Rhea Ripley, and I'll end it with this, and this is just, and again, I've spoken a lot of just facts and just truth bombs to people throughout this show, and I don't do this often, but I'm just going to give my personal preference on something, and that's Rhea Ripley. I respect Rhea Ripley. I like Rhea Ripley. I respect the push that they're trying to give Rhea Ripley, and it's working. She's got her fans. She looks the part. She's got a really good entrance theme. It's one of the few Death Rebel songs that are actually somewhat decent, but she does nothing for me. The woman does nothing for me when she comes out there. Like when I hear, "This is my brutality," I don't feel nothing. Right. I just don't. That's no shade to her. She has her fans. Kudos to her. And hopefully one day I would feel the same way that other people feel. And I don't know if it has anything to do with just this storyline, just completely just losing steam and losing its spark that it had in the early on in the summer. But yeah, it's just, I'm just not feeling anything when she comes out. She's got the entrance. She's got the look. She knows how to make an entrance, but I'm not captivated towards her. She's just not my cup of tea. She's just not my cup of coffee. I'm sorry. It's not like a Tiffany Stratton or a Chelsea Green or a Selena Vega, but with Rhea Ripley, she comes through that curtain. I personally don't feel anything. And I hope that changes. I really do, because I want Rhea Ripley to continue to thrive and continue to gain her fans and continue to, gain her stardom in this industry. But right now, man, in this moment right now, because it can change, I don't feel anything, any captivation. I don't feel any connection with Rhea at all. And that's just the God honest truth that I have, and that's just my personal preference. If you feel a certain type of way about Rhea, cool, props to you. To me, I just don't feel that spark at all. So, Brian, what are your takes, man, in regard to this main event?
So yeah, this was probably my favorite segment of the night, match, whatever, as well. Like,
yeah,
I don't really have an issue with it being the main event. And Raquel Rodriguez, like, for all the shit I've given her, this was the best I saw her look in the ring. And maybe that's, I know her and Rhea kind of came up and trained together. maybe that just speaks to the chemistry they have together in the ring. But I thought they looked really good.
Match was good overall. Yeah.
Man, I gotta talk about Io here, man. God, this fucking woman. Did you see her suicide dive outside on Liv?
Yes, I did.
Like this woman goes 100 miles an hour, does not give a shit, and I love her for it, man. And also, I know how they ended the night, and I guess that's that's hinting, a little bit down the future. But for right now, freaking Io and Rhea is a partnership I didn't know I needed, man. Like for right now, like I'm good with them for like a couple months, not really being a tag team, but just, maybe having each other's back against Raquel and Liv or whatever the case may be.
You'll probably see that.
Io and Rhea together, man. I like that. But you're right. Like I don't think Io's, she's not beating Liv.
No.
The person to beat Liv for the title is Rhea. But I guess that's going to eventually, again, which this is all going to tie back in together if it goes this way. I mean, Io and Rhea kind of are helping each other out. Io doesn't win. Rhea eventually does win the title, and eventually we're going to see Io and Rhea, But for right now, man, I really want to see a partnership with Io and Rhea together. And just shout out to Io, man. Just major kudos to Io. Like, I don't know if she'll ever be world champion again, but just in the last couple of years, man, just what I've seen of her, just mwah. Thank you, Io.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. I mean, just back at WrestleMania, she arguably had one of the best matches of the year with Bayley, just from WrestleMania. So, like, the woman can go, man. And it sucks that her last title reign was, again, I don't think it was bad as people were hyping it up to be. And again, most of it's not really her fault. And it doesn't have to even
be a title run. Like you said, like none of this, like you said, I mean, none of it has to evolve around a title. Just give them good booking.
Just give her good booking, yeah. I want, she needs to be the Io Shirai that she was in NXT. She's just by herself, being the solo star, with that entrance and all, her mannerisms, just let her just rock on her own. Because the more she's with Damage Control and the more she's with Dakota and the more she's with Kyrie, to where it's not going anywhere, like everybody together, those three together, it's not benefiting either one of them. Either Dakota, that includes Dakota, Kyrie, and it definitely includes Io Sky. Just let Io Sky be on her own. Let her be the Io Sky that she was in NXT. Let her be the baby face, because I think she could be a really, really good baby face.
Yep. She's got a baby face, for Christ's sake. Oh my God.
And just let her just let her rock, bro. Just let her rock as a top face. Like, honestly, Io Sky is more of my cup of coffee, my cup of tea, than a Rhea Ripley right now, honestly. And even, a Rhea Ripley and an Io Sky tandem, that could, if you book it properly, that could work. And for the time being, I guess that could work.
Not long term. And like I said, just a little bit. Just give us a little bit.
Yeah. And as far, the main event was solid. Both of the ladies did their thing, absolutely. For people that are very, again, in regards to Raquel Rodriguez, I don't blame people for not feeling a certain type of way about Raquel either. But kudos to her. They both did their thing. Absolutely. I can still make an argument that we could have done something else to end the show. But for what it was, man, and outside of everything that we went over in this show, I'll take it. So 100%. And yeah, man, as the show as a whole, bro, it's not good. Guys, I can't sit here with a straight face and tell you that Monday Night Raw was good this past Monday. It just wasn't. There was some moments, as there always is, right? There's always glimpses of what Triple H does in the short term that he does really good. But the long term, right? The people that think that he exceeds in long-term storytelling, it's not there. At least for the recent history, it's not been there. So yeah, guys, I can't sit here with a straight face with Gunther and Finn, Damian Priest and Finn, Seth
Sicks.
Rollins and Sami Zayn, the Wyatt Sicks and Final Testament. It's creatively, it is fucking horrible. It's really bad. But the highlights for me, man, were this main event and the New Day just getting booed out of the building. That was truly it. And we'll see what Saturday night's main event brings. We'll see what Raw and Netflix brings. Again, there's still hope that maybe the product and the creativity gets better. I need to believe it to see it, but we shall soon find out. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. We only got a couple more episodes left in 2024. This was the final Raw review of 2024. So once again, thank you guys so much, as we have had a miraculous 2024 in regards to analytics from Spotify and all of our platforms. So we just once again want to thank you guys for an amazing year and for what's to come in 2025. So of course, as always, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Again, we are available. Spotify, Apple Podcasts is where you could check us out, as well as on YouTube. We are right on the cusp of 270 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Nice. What would be a great Christmas gift for both of us, forever who is listening and watching? Hit that subscribe button, man. That's all we want. Just hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that notification bell and spread the word. I would love for this channel, this platform, to get to 300 subscribers before the end of the year. So again, if you guys know some wrestling fans, people who love this shit just as much as we do, definitely spread the word and definitely tell them about this podcast, man. So make sure you guys do that. Thank you guys once again for all the love and all of the support from this platform. Again, stay tuned for Saturday night's main event. Stay tuned for our big finale show coming up next week and for more content to come. Brian, final thoughts before we end the show.
Just super excited about Saturday night's main event, man. And shout out to you and your Mets.
Yes, sir. I love you, Soto.
Yeah.
That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
Until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off, saying salutes.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys, we are out.
Soto, Chofa. Legend, One of Juan, el 22. Con todos los números que ha puesto, acabó con todo. El Bronx, Yankee, que viva New York, el Bronx. Que viva New York, el Bronx. Que viva New York. Los mejores fanáticos están en Nueva York, el Bronx. El Bronx.